So right here on the 404 Mark II, right now we're in sample playback mode, which any samples that we've recorded into the 404, they're going to be right here in different banks, depending on which bank you recorded your sample into. If you guys want more information on recording samples, importing, chopping up, make sure you check out the other video that I did. I'll leave a link somewhere up here. But right now, we're going to be focusing on the pattern or on the sequencer and putting a beat together. So on bank A is where I have my one-shots or my drums. And on bank B is where I have my samples. And on bank C, just to have some variation. So let's jump right into it. And as you guys see right here where it says pattern select, right now we're in sample playback mode, so we obviously could just hear our samples. But if we jump into pattern select and we select that, now we don't see those orange pads. There's no samples right here. There's no drums because we're now on pattern select. These are now going to be slots to store different patterns or different sequences depending on which type of sampler you're used to. I'm going to go ahead and start loading up into bank A, pattern 1 or pad 1. That's where we're just going to do our drums. And once we have our drums, we'll go into our samples and we'll start adding after that. So now that we're in pattern select mode, if we hit the record button, we'll see that these pads start blinking red. And any pad that's blinking red is letting us know that we could record a sequence or a pattern into those empty pads. So as you guys can see, you guys can select any bank and record a pattern in whichever bank you guys have available. But like we said, I'm going to do it in bank A. And at this point, if you guys hear the metronome, that's great. If you do not hear a metronome, kind of like in my case, to turn on the metronome, you hold down shift in pad 9 where it says metronome. Shift pad 9. So now we hear the metronome. So now to select the destination where we're going to record the pattern, make sure you select one of these pads, which I'm going to go ahead and select pad 1. Now that we've selected pad 1, this pop-up screen comes up and there's a few settings that we could go ahead and switch up before we start recording. You got your BPM right here, and in my case, I'm going to leave it at 97. And then you got your length of this pattern, which you got 2 bars. You can go all the way up to 64 bars. I'm going to leave mine at 2 bars. And then right here, you got your strength of your quantization. You guys can go at 100% quantize. I like to go down to 50%. And then you got your grid of quantize. I'll leave it at 16th grid. Once you got this selected, if you hit record, it's going to give you a 1-bar count in. Is giving me a 1-bar count in, and now I'm recording. So if I hit one of these pads, it's gonna start recording in this 2-bar pattern. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and lay down the snare. There you go, now we have our snare, and I'm gonna go ahead and lay down the kick. Awesome, so we just got the kick and the snare. So at this point, what I like to do is I'm going to turn off quantization because I want to add some ghost kicks on top of this, but I don't want those to be quantized. So to go back and turn off your quantize, go back to record settings, and right here, you got your strength, you got your grid, and with this encoder, go all the way to off. And to get out of this screen, go ahead and hit exit. And we're still on record, so now when I hit a pad, it's no longer going to be quantized. As you guys can hear my doo-doom, that sub kick, I actually don't want to do it with this one. I actually have a sub kick sample up here. So to undo one step that you've recorded, go to shift undo. Now it undid that. There you go. There's not that sub kick anymore. So I'm going to put that sub kick, which is up here on top of this. Awesome. So now we're going to lay down our hi-hats. But in order to get off of record mode to jump into rehearsal mode, hit record again. Now it says rehearsal. So if I play with any of these pads, it's not going to record them. It's just going to let me play them back. I just want to see which hi-hat I'm going to stick with. I'm going to go with pad 11. And with the hi-hats, I'm not going to be quantized. I'm going to be off quantized, and I want to go to the 16 velocity mode. So in order to jump into 16 velocity mode, make sure you select that sample that you want to jump into 16 velocity mode. In this case, it's going to be this hi-hat, which is pad 11, and go to shift pad 2, which is 16 velocity mode. Now, we're in 16 velocity mode. If I want to go ahead and start recording that, I'm going to hit record again. Now I'm recording. So if I hit a pad, it's going to start to record on top of this pattern. So as you guys saw, I'm a little off. I'm not too happy with what I've recorded. So in order to delete that, I'm gonna hit exit. I'm gonna get off of the velocity mode, hold down delete, actually just click delete, and these pads turn blue. And whichever pad I hold down for the duration that I hold it down is gonna delete whatever I've recorded. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete the 2 bars from this hi-hat. So I'll just hold it down and it's gonna start deleting that take. Awesome, so I'm done. Once I'm done, get back off of delete. Now we're back on record mode, and I'm gonna jump back into the 16 velocity, and let's lay that down one more time. There you go. I'm gonna go back on rehearsal mode, get off of 16 velocity. I got this snare roll, or this roll right here that I wanna add. So I'm gonna go back on record, and I'm gonna add it at the end of bar 2. Awesome, so get off of record. And at this point, I'm gonna turn off the metronome, hold down shift, push metronome, and now this is our drums. This is cool, but I wanna lower down that hi-hat. So in order to lower down that hi-hat, select that hi-hat, which is right here, pad 11, go to pitch speed, and right here on your volume, which is encoder 3 or control knob 3, I can lower that down a bit. Cool, I'm gonna leave it right there. That sounds good. I'm gonna exit out of that page. And now we have our drum groove. This sounds okay, it's pretty decent. I'm gonna go ahead and stop this. In order to stop all this, just hit exit 4 times. And it will stop the playback. At this point, now we have a 2-bar drum loop. It's just 2 bars. I actually don't want 2 bars, I want 4 bars, but I always like to just do 2 bars to make it very simple. In order for me to double length this take that I did of 2 bars, I can jump into pattern edit mode. Once I go into pattern edit mode, I have to select a pattern that I want to edit. In this case, I'm going to select pattern 1, which is on pad 1. And now I'm on pattern edit. So I can do a few things. I can change the BPM. I can go ahead and select the start point of that pattern, the end point of that pattern. I can make it 1 bar or 2 bars, which we have. But then you got this menu icon, which if you click this encoder into a button, you got a few options. You got duplicate, crop, or cancel. I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate that. And now it made 2 bars into 4 bars. So now we have a 4-bar take. If I hit exit and I click this, now it's 4 bars. Once that's playing back, I actually want to listen to the sample chops that I've done, which I've laid down on bank B. So I'll jump into bank B, and as is playing back, we don't see no samples right here yet, but we got to get off of pattern select. And once we're off of pattern select, we're able to see our sample playback or our samples. Let's go back to bank B, and now we have our sample chops here. Once you kind of have an idea of what you want to record, you go back into pattern select, and we'll go to bank A because that's where we have our pattern. But before I record down those chops into this drum break that I have, I'm gonna copy this pattern. I'll go to copy, select that pattern, and then select another empty pad that you wanna copy that into. I'm gonna select pad 5 and hit copy again. Now we have a duplicate of that pattern that we've created. So we got 2 drum breaks that we have. And then we got this one. The reason why I want to do that is because right here, as I'm laying down those chops on top, and then I'm going to lay down a different variation, I'm going to bring back this drum take that we did and put it right there, so it just makes it a little easier. It's gonna make a little more sense as we're going through right now. But right here, we're gonna lay down that performance that we just did. So in order to jump back into record mode, hit the record button. It's gonna ask you which pattern that you wanna record into. I'm gonna select pattern 1. And now it's giving me the same, whatever. If I want to switch any parameters right here, which I don't, I'm going to hit record again. And when I hit record again, it's going to give me a 1 bar count in, and that's when I start recording. I actually didn't have my metronome on, so I wasn't able to start, but I'll go ahead and start right here on the second take. So in this case, let's say I kind of wasn't feeling what I was doing right now. I'm gonna delete what I just did and redo it. This is a part where I don't know, I wish they had a little something different right here, because in order for me to delete those takes, if I go into this pattern, I'll hit record, and once I'm in record, I hit delete, I jump into bank B, I gotta hold down these pads to delete them, but I don't want to do it for 4 bars, which kind of, I guess I just have to wait. I wish there was a different way where I can just hit the pad and delete the entire 4 bar take. But from what I'm aware of, you're not able to do that as of right now. So there you go. Now that's deleted. Again, I wish there was an easier way to delete a pad of a whole take, not holding it down. Hopefully that makes sense, but I don't know, but as of right now, this is the way you got to do it. Once we're done with that, I'm going to go back into record mode, hit this pad. But before I do that, actually, I'm going to turn on the count in. I'm going to hit exit and go right here to shift pad 10. And I'm going to do a count off, 1 measure count in. So it at least gives me a count in. I'm going to turn on the metronome. And let's go back into this pad and let's get ready to record. That sounds. Now that we have that, now I want to add a variation of that just to switch things up so it's not too repetitive. Remember that we copied that drum break down here. Now I'm going to copy that empty drum slot and put it on bank 2 or on pad 2, hit copy again. Now we have this one right here that I can record on top of. So on this pattern, I'm going to record the variation chops that I have just to switch things up. So as that's playing back, I'm going to turn on the metronome. Once that's turned on, I'm going to go to record mode, and it's pretty much just waiting. I'm going to go to bank C or bank H, which I have those variations, and I'm going to wait until it goes back into bar 1. There you go. Get off of record mode, hit exit. So now that we have 2 separate patterns, we got 1 pattern right here. That could be kind of like our verse. And then if you hit pad 2 or pattern 2, it's going to go into the second bridge that we just created. There you go. Let's say we want to lower down the volume of the sample. I feel like the sample is a little too loud. We can lower down that volume. Let's get off of pattern select, even though that's playing back. If we hold down shift, if we're already on pattern or on bank H, if you hold down shift, hit that bank, make sure it's on bank H. You could toggle through bank C and bank H. Once that's right there, you could just lower that down. I'm gonna put it at like about 87, the volume at 87%. So let's go ahead and do like an intro. I'll put that intro on this empty pad, which is gonna be pad 3. Hit record, hit pad 3, and yes, it's gonna be 2 bars. I don't wanna make it 4 bars. Everything looks good. Make sure our metronome's turned on, our count in is turned on. So once we hit record, it's gonna give me a 1 measure count in, and I can start performing. off the metronome, hit exit, and now we have kind of like an intro, verse, and chorus. So let's see how this comes out. Yeah. Kind of have a little something to play with right there. That's how I've been recording my patterns or my sequences. It's been pretty easy, very fast, really fun. Now I've messed around with other sequencers. Like obviously I come from the MPC, and the MPC is a superb sequencer. Like that sequencer to me, because I'm so used to it, it's like perfect. But for this small device, for the price that is at, in my personal experience with other samplers, this is an awesome sequencer for the price that you're paying. I'm really enjoying it, as the more you play with it and explore it, the easier it becomes and the faster you get to lay down some patterns. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and got something out of it. If you guys got any questions, let us know down in the comments. On our next video, I'm probably going to dive into the same beat that we have, but I'm actually going to go through on these bus effects and show you guys how you guys can add separate buses to maybe one bus effect to your drums and the other bus effect to your sample. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys taking your time. If you guys got any questions, let us know down in the comments. I'll see y'all on our next video. Peace.